Welcome to Daniel Reviews. I'm Daniel Goodwin, and today we are looking at the Y&O YM-20 air steamer. I would call it a whole house humidifier, but air steamer kind of has an interesting ring to it. Let's get into it. So one of the most popular videos I did was on a dehumidifier that you can get from Costco, Medea dehumidifier. I'll maybe put the link below if you want to watch that. But it's been really popular because obviously we're in summer and it is a great way to suck a lot of the moisture out of the air and make your house feel cooler and prevent that damp, moldy, mildewy smell that you get maybe in your basement, whatever. So that's obviously very useful. This is an air steamer or a humidifier, and I want to talk about why you might want one of those for your house and when. Okay, this really isn't rocket science. It's pretty much the exact opposite of the dehumidifier. In the summer months, you're going to want to run a dehumidifier to, again, suck all that moisture out of the air and produce that crisp, clean, dry feeling, which conveys coolness a lot easier. In the winter, when it's, at least here in the north, where it's quite cold, and it is very dry, you need, well, you don't need, but I recommend a humidifier to put a certain level of moisture or humidity into your air at home. It will make it feel warmer, which will make you feel warmer, and also it prevents some of the problems associated with the air being too dry. Enter the air steamer, the Y&O YM-20. Let's open her up. This is what you get in the box. You get the big unit itself, and it is very generously sized. Definitely feels like it'd be big enough to be like a whole house humidifier. You get a standard power cable, which is, I call these PC power supply cables because they have the standard fitting. Pretty thick gauge, so it'll be interesting to measure how much wattages it's actually pulling. And then you get a nicely wrapped inside this plastic bag an instruction manual, which I will try to take the time to read, but very nicely printed, good material. Let's go through it. All right, so in terms of parts, it's pretty straightforward. There's this little latch that you press in with your finger and pulls up, takes the lid off. Inside you will find two tanks, and whoa, what is this? Looks like yet another power cord. But they were each of them deceived, for there were two power cords. I'm not sure about that. Look into that. These tanks, pretty straightforward. It's kind of interesting that they split it into two separate tanks. Probably makes it a lot easier when you're filling them up with water, that you don't have just one big tank that you're trying to use, so you can fill both of these up. It will humidify even if only one of the tanks is full. It also clarifies in the manual that even if you fill both of these up, it will not draw from them equally, so don't be surprised by that. Inside, I don't know if you can see this very well, but pretty much you got your heating elements. This is already installed. The manual acts like you need to install it, but it really was already in place. Just want to make sure that the gasket and everything seals well. It's really pretty much ready to go. We're going to plug it in, fill it up with water, and see what happens. You know, inside these little buckets, there is a little filter down in there. See the round thing? And they are taped in place currently with a very secure piece of tape. So you will want to remove that tape before you fill these with water. The filter just kind of comes out like that. Take the tape off, and then you can reinsert it back inside the tank, and you should be good to roll. They said it did come, for some reason, with two cables. As far as I can tell, they are identical. They definitely have the same connectors. So I'm going to go with the one that was inside the sealed bag, although they both look like they're in flawless condition, so probably not a problem, but I went with the one that was inside here, inside the tank. Right, in terms of plugging in the power cord, it's pretty simple. You just align it and insert it. It's a little easier to do, align it and insert it. Hard to do one-handed, but very easy to do with two. You can see I filled both tanks with water. I did not fill all the way to the fill line because I felt like this was more than enough. But if you look here, you can see the max line is just right there below the handle, essentially. These handles really do make it handy. If it was one bucket, it would have been a lot heavier. So it's much easier, particularly if you're not up for physical feats, to do these one at a time and put them inside the unit. All right, we got it plugged in, so I'm gonna press and hold the power button to start it up. It should take an auto reading and tell me what is the moisture level in the room. I wanted to give it a second. It's saying 47. We'll see if that holds. We'll give it a couple minutes. See, it's going down. It went from 47 to 45, now 44. It's kind of sensing what is the humidity level in the room. All right, it's fairly leveled down. It's probably somewhere in that 40% range in the room, and I think that's probably pretty accurate. What I am going to do is probably leave it in this auto mode. However, let's see, I want to change. There we go. You can lock it, which is really useful if you don't want people pressing around on it. And if you're curious like I am on what is the wattage draw of this unit, you can see right now I'm measuring about 879, 870 so, which is probably about right. I knew it was going to draw much more than the dehumidifier, but because it's literally turning this water into steam, right? So it's going to take a little while, and then it should start, kind of pumping it into the air. And it's working right now. It's not very loud, but if you're sitting right next to it, I'd almost describe it like a little tea kettle. You can hear like a little gurgling, boiling sound inside, which I assume is literally what it's doing is boiling the water, and it's going to let the steam evaporate into the air. Boiling it at with 800 watts is pretty good. I don't think that's excessive. It'll be interesting to see how much steam it does let out. I've set it on max at the moment and just going to let it run for an hour because I want to see the results. Okay, so just trying to use this flashlight to show the steam a little better. I don't know if it is or not. If you can see it, I can see it, but probably not showing here. There's definitely steam escaping, and I expect the moisture level, which is currently at 41%, will go. Okay, so one thing which the manual, I want to be very clear, says do not do, and that is to put your hand over this, because this is where the steam comes out and you could potentially get burned. So I'm pulling a Steve Irwin here, but at this distance you can definitely feel the steam. It feels obviously it feels wet, so you know that it's putting a lot of moisture in the air, and you can see here it's already gone from 41 to 42%. That said, I would probably, in my house, this is probably already more than enough humidity level, but as winter comes on more fully, I know this is going to drop down. It's going to be a lot drier, and then putting this into the air is going to help a lot with dry skin. It's going to help prevent the wood from rotting out if it gets too dry. Just a lot of things that can happen if you have exceptionally low moisture levels in your air in winter. One thing I need to point out that seems to be different on my unit versus what the manual says is that the auto mode here also clearly puts an A, but then it has kind of like a bicep, flexing bicep, and a nighttime, little sleepy time in the A, right? Well, in the manual, it seems to indicate that you would actually have a percentage, and it would be showing you the humidity level that you could be setting. Don't have that, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I will just point out that that's a little confusing. I don't know if these symbols correlate to these numbers, but I'm a little unclear on that. Elsewhere on the controls, you obviously have your timer. You can run it from 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 3 hours, so that's cool. 4 hours, or back to 1 to 4 hours. It's kind of interesting. I'm just going to run for 1 hour. This is, of course, your strength level. And this is, of course, the power button. We already did cover the A. This is the lock. Now it is now locked. And, of course, you hold to release it as well. There you go. Okay, so a few things to note about the unit and my impressions thus far. One is what I like is it's really big. It's labeled as a whole house unit, and it probably is. I mean, you might need to do your square footage calculations, but it probably is capable of putting a lot of humidity into the air. more than just like a small room or a tiny unit. Two, the energy use is high-ish, 800 watts, a little about, but not crazy. So just something to keep in mind if you are going to be running this in the winter and you're worried about your energy consumption, electric energy consumption, 800 watts running, you know, for 1 to 4 hours or however long, that's going to add up over time. What else? Well, a few things. I would say the manual not matching with the controls was a little bit of confusing, so I don't actually know. I'm guessing on some of the operations around the automatic mode, and I think that's something I'd love to see some clarity on. I'll reach out to the manufacturer and see if they provide any direction, because I think that's something that we should know. Beyond that, it's pretty simple. This is not a complicated appliance. It literally is a steamer, an air steamer, and it's they're not joking when they call it that. So literally you put it into, you know, you fill it with water, you plug it in, you turn it on, it turns the water into steam in your house, and there you go, right? So big thing is just making sure that you keep the moisture level at an acceptable level. From what I understand reading, that's 30 to 40% in the wintertime to prevent dry skin and dry wood and you know, a host of problems. So that's probably what you want to target. Also, I did reach out to the manufacturer and confirm that on the model, although the icons are different, they do accomplish the same auto setting levels of 50, 60, and 70%. The nighttime icon is the 50, the A is 60, and then the bicep is is the 70. So that's the same, just need to update the manual. All right, I think that's going to wrap up this video. Very short and simple and to the point, which is what you want with something like a humidifier. You don't want anything that's overcomplicated. I don't think, at least I don't. I want a fire and forget kind of thing. Fill it up, put it in where you need it, let it run, check on it occasionally to make sure you need to refill water and it's staying clean, all that sort of thing. This checks all those boxes. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, I'll see you in the next video.